The stadium lights burned hotter than the afternoon sun, washing the whole football field in blinding white. Camera flashes popped like tiny fireworks. Seniors in navy caps and gowns streamed down the center aisle, parents waving, siblings cheering, phones held high to record every second. Nobody waved for me. "Remember," my dad murmured, tugging at the cuff of his blazer as we walked toward the bleachers. "We'll stay through Megan's speech. Then we've got to beat traffic." My mom nodded like it was already a settled deal. "Of course. We can't be out too late. Big day tomorrow." "For who?" I asked, even though I knew the answer. Dad gave me the look, the one he used when I asked questions that made things awkward. "For your sister, obviously," he said. "Her keynote at the engineering showcase?" The dean himself asked her. "It's a huge honor." I swallowed hard and adjusted the tassel dangling in my face.
Right.
Of course. Megan, my older by 2 years golden child sister, was out on the field already, laughing with a cluster of friends near the front. Her honor cords glowed against her white stole, a colorful mess of achievements. From here, she looked like a walking resume. I looked down at my own gown. No cords. Just the basic navy fabric, my name, Riley Carter, printed on a program no one in my family had bothered to read. "Let's grab seats up front," Mom said, scanning the stands. "That way we get a great angle when Megan goes up." "And you?" Dad added, glancing at me. "You can sit with your class, right? You'll be fine?" Like I was some stray they drop off at the curb. I forced a smile.
"Yeah.
"I'm good." Mom leaned in and pecked my cheek, already distracted. "Smile big when you walk the stage, okay? Maybe someone will snap a shot of you and Megan together later. That'd be cute." "Sure," I said, but my throat felt tight. I watched them hustle toward an empty row near the 50-yard line, my dad's hand on Megan's back like she might float away without his guidance. Mom lifted her phone, zooming in on my sister, waving with manic enthusiasm. Not one photo of me. An announcement crackled through the speakers. "Graduates, please proceed to your seats. Ceremony begins in 5 minutes." I inhaled, long and steady. This was fine. This was normal. Megan was the engineer, the real success. I was the one who dropped out sophomore year and then somehow crawled back, as my aunt once helpfully put it at Thanksgiving. Nobody in my family cared that I'd been spending the last 18 months living off stale coffee and cheap noodles, building something on my refurbished laptop until my eyes burned. Nobody had asked why I'd been getting late-night calls from investors or why I'd flown to San Francisco alone for a weekend friend's visit. That was actually a brutal pitch gauntlet. They didn't ask, so I didn't tell. I took my assigned seat near the middle of the graduating class, but when the principal started droning through the welcome speech, my skin started buzzing. I could feel my phone, a slim weight tucked under my gown in the inner pocket I'd stitched myself, vibrating, then going still, then buzzing again. Notifications. I knew what they might be about. But I also knew what this moment was supposed to look like in my parents' heads. Megan, the star of the evening. Me, the background extra. Not tonight. The speeches blurred into each other. The faculty remarks, the class president, the valedictorian. Every thunderous cheer seemed to orbit around my sister's side of the field. Every time the crowd exploded, Mom and Dad leapt to their feet, clapping like they could personally take credit. Finally, the dean stepped up to the podium. And now, our student speaker, top of her class in mechanical engineering, president of the Robotics Society, Megan Carter. The stadium roared. Megan brushed her hair back, like she was walking onto a talk show set. She passed my row, caught my eye for a fraction of a second, and smiled, a small, practiced smile that said, "Don't mess this up by existing too loudly, okay?" I smiled back, just as practiced. She took the stage and launched into her speech about hard work, innovation, community, all the standard greatest hits themes. The crowd ate it up. My parents recorded every second on their phones, hands shaking with pride. I let my gaze drift away from the stage, up to the sky, streaked with purple and gold as the sun dipped low. My heartbeat synced with the vibrations at my hip.
"Check it," the voice in my head said.
"You've earned this." Slowly, quietly, I slid my phone from inside my gown and angled the screen behind the program in my lap. My lock screen was chaos. Unread emails, 27. Missed call from Ethan Park. A notification from a tech blog I followed obsessively. Breaking, Boston teen founder lands $10 million seed round to build AI platform for small businesses. My pulse spiked. I tapped it open with trembling fingers. There it was. My face, taken from my LinkedIn photo of all things, next to a headline I dreamed about and dared myself not to obsess over. Local 21-year-old founder closes $10 million seed round for PivotPath, an AI-powered operations tool for small businesses. Founder, Riley Carter.
Me.
The article had been embargoed until tonight. Until our lead investor gave the go-ahead. Until the papers could run it in sync with the official press release. Until exactly 8:15 p.m. I checked the time. 8:16 p.m. My throat caught. For a second, the noise of the crowd faded, replaced by the roaring rush of blood in my ears. On the stage, Megan smiled into the microphone. We owe everything to the people who believed in us along the way. I scanned the stands, searching for my parents. They were still locked on her, beaming like spotlights. Zero clue what was already spreading out there, beyond this stadium, beyond this campus. My home screen popped with more alerts. TechPulse Live. Meet the youngest female founder to secure an 8-figure seed round on the East Coast. Boston Business Daily. From dropout to dealmaker, Carter's AI startup shocks investors. My investor, Ethan, had texted. Ethan, turn on the TV when you get home. Every local station grabbed it. Proud of you, Riley. Another message from my co-founder, Kayla. Kayla, we did it. They said yes. Full $10 million. Call me the second you can breathe. I bit back a hysterical laugh. Here I was, sitting in a folding chair on a football field, treated like the other daughter at my own graduation, while my entire life was detonating in the best possible way, just a few miles away, on every screen in the city. The dean's voice cut through my shock. And now, the conferring of degrees. Chairs scraped. Students shifted. The lines started to form. I slipped my phone back into my gown, my decision already made. Screw the perfect family photo they'd never print. Screw the obligatory dinner afterward where they'd rave about Megan's speech and ask me, casually, if I'd thought any more about that receptionist job at my uncle's insurance office.
No.
I stepped into line when my row was called, walked toward the stage with my classmates. The cheers washed over us like white noise. When they called, Riley and Carter, my parents clapped politely, but I could hear the difference. Loudest for Megan, half-hearted for me. I smiled anyway, not because of them, because I knew something they didn't. The dean shook my hand. Congratulations, Miss Carter, he said. Thanks, I replied, voice steady. I've got a meeting after this. He chuckled, thinking I was joking. When the ceremony finally ended and caps flew into the air, I didn't toss mine. I ducked out of the crush of bodies, weaving between hugging families and selfie crowds until I reached the edge of the field. From there, I saw it clearly. My parents and Megan in the center aisle, my mom wiping proud tears, my dad taking a selfie with Megan in the middle, all smiles. None of them looked around for me.
My phone buzzed again.
Ethan, this time. Ethan. CNN wants a quote. They're picking it up from the local feed. You ready for this? Youngest woman with a $10 million seed? I stared at the text, then at my family, who were already heading toward the parking lot. I typed back with shaking fingers. Give me 20 minutes. I've got one last thing to do. I turned away from the stadium, from the bleachers, from the people who'd never thought to ask what I was really building. Tonight, they chose front row seats to Megan's speech over standing beside me. In a few hours, they'd reach home, flip on the TV, and see my name on every channel. And when they tried to call,
Yeah.
I already knew I wouldn't be picking up. The second I stepped off campus, the night air hit me like a shock. Cool, sharp, buzzing with the kind of electricity that only shows up when something big is about to happen. The parking lot was a flood of taillights and proud family chaos. I didn't try to find my parents. They didn't try to find me. It was mutual, as always. My phone buzzed nonstop in my hand. Notifications piled so fast the screen looked like it was glitching. Kayla, girl, they put your face on the home page of TechPulse. Ethan, NBC Boston running it now. Your live everywhere. Marcus, lead engineer, were trending on Twitter. Under your name. I stopped walking.
Trending under my name.
I had pictured this moment 100 times in late-night fantasies between debugging sessions. But living it? Hearing cars rushing by while a giant part of the world suddenly said my name? It didn't feel real. I headed toward the far end of the lot where my beat-up, dented blue Honda, held together by willpower and zip ties, waited. While families hugged and took photos, I slid into the driver's seat, shut the door, and let silence fill the space. Then I turned on my data hotspot. My lock screen exploded. Push notifications from CNN, Forbes, Bloomberg, Boston Herald, Tech Daily, even a local lifestyle site that normally covered cupcake shops. I opened the first article. Pivot Path, founded by 21-year-old Riley Carter, secures $10 million seed round from 3 major VC firms. My name was printed bold, like it had weight, like it meant something. Then my phone rang. Dad. I let it ring out. 10 seconds later, Mom.
Decline.
Then Megan.
Decline.
A message from my mom followed instantly. Mom. Where are you? We didn't see you after the ceremony. Mom. Your father wants to talk to you. Mom. Why are there news articles with your picture?
Call us now.
I stared at the screen, my chest rising and falling slowly. All those years. All those dinners where my accomplishments were cute. All those times I tried to tell them about my project and they brushed me off with, "Be practical, Riley. Not everyone can be like your sister." I took a deep breath and started the engine. I wasn't going home. Not yet. Tonight wasn't about them. Tonight was about proving to myself that I wasn't some backup daughter. As I pulled out of the parking lot, another call came through. This time from an unknown number. Usually I'd ignore it. But tonight was different. I answered. Hello. A calm, crisp voice responded. Is this Riley Carter? Yes. This is Alyssa Reyes, producer with NBC Boston. We'd like a brief televised statement from you tonight. You don't need to come in, we can do it live over Zoom. Are you available? My hands tightened on the wheel. NBC. Calling me. Yeah. Yes, I can, I said, my voice sounding stronger than I felt.
Perfect.
We'll send the link in 10. When the call ended, I pulled into a quiet overlook above the city. The skyline glimmered below, tiny lights, tiny windows, tiny people who were about to know who I was. My parents kept calling. I kept ignoring. Another text from Mom popped up. Mom, we're home. Your father turned on the news, and your name is everywhere. Why didn't you tell us? Why didn't you involve your family? Please answer us. And then, Dad. Call me right now, young lady. We need to talk about this funding situation. We're confused.
Confused.
Not proud. Not amazed. Not congratulations. Just confused. A short laugh escaped me. It wasn't bitter. It wasn't angry. It was the laugh of someone who finally understood exactly where she stood. I looked toward Boston's glowing skyline and whispered to myself, let them be confused. My $1 million future didn't need their permission. The Zoom link arrived. I straightened my gown, wiped the mascara smudge under my eye with my thumb, squared my shoulders, and tapped join. This time, when the world listened, it would be on my terms. The Zoom screen loaded, and suddenly I wasn't sitting in my old Honda anymore. I was framed under a glowing banner that read NBC Boston, breaking news. My reflection stared back from the corner thumbnail, tassel crooked, hair wind-tossed, navy gown wrinkled, but my eyes were sharp.
Alive.
A woman in her early 30s, polished and confident, appeared on the main screen. Alyssa Reyes, she introduced herself again, smiling like she already knew tonight was history. Riley, congratulations. You're about to be live. Do you need a moment? No, I said immediately. I'm ready. Because I was. She nodded. We're on in 3, 2, 1. A transition graphic slid across the screen. Then her voice came through, smooth and professional. Tonight, Boston celebrates one of the youngest tech founders in the country to close an 8-figure seed round. Joining us live is 21-year-old innovator Riley Carter, founder and CEO of PivotPath. The title bar under my video read, Riley Carter, founder, PivotPath. Seeing my name like that, clean, respected, undisputed, sent a rush through my chest. Alyssa continued, Riley, first question. How does it feel knowing your startup just secured $10 million in funding? I inhaled, calming the adrenaline, then let the truth pour out. It feels like every night I spent building this on borrowed equipment finally mattered, I said. It feels like every no I heard was preparing me for today. Alyssa smiled. What inspired PivotPath? My parents run a small convenience store, I said. Growing up, I watched them drown in tasks, inventory, scheduling, paperwork, things that should have been automated. I wanted to build something that helped people like them. The city lights behind me flickered, as if they were listening. And one more thing, I added softly. I wanted to prove that where you start doesn't dictate where you end up. Alyssa's eyebrows lifted with impressed surprise. Powerful words. The segment ended with a montage of screenshots, my pitch photos, the headline from TechPulse, my team's picture from last month's hackathon. When the live feed cut, Alyssa said privately, You're incredible, Riley. This won't be the last time we talk. I thanked her, ended the call, and exhaled so deeply my shoulders slumped. My phone lit up instantly. Kayla, you killed that interview. Marcus, absolute legend. Ethan, you've officially launched.
Congrats.
Then, of course, my parents again. Mom, 8 messages. Riley, we just saw the interview. Why didn't you warn us? We didn't know you were doing something that serious. Please answer, this is important. Dad, 5 messages. We need to talk immediately. Why didn't you tell us you were talking to investors? Who are these people funding you? You should have consulted us first. Consult them? For 18 months, they barely acknowledged what I was building. For 18 years, they made sure I understood Megan was the one with potential. Now, suddenly they wanted a seat at the table? I put my phone face down. Tonight wasn't about them. The city below me felt alive, like it was breathing with me, matching every beat in my chest. But something else began rising inside me too. A sense of clarity. For years, I'd swallowed my feelings, stayed quiet, played the role of the easy daughter.
I stayed out of the way.
I didn't rock the boat. I told myself that if I just worked harder, maybe they'd see me. Now I realized the truth. I didn't need them to see me. The world already did. A sudden gust of wind shook the car, and I blinked back the sting behind my eyes. Not sadness, relief. Another notification buzzed. This one wasn't from my parents. It was from Silicon Valley Venture Forum. A verification badge, a blue check, and the message. We'd like you as a keynote speaker for our Young Innovators event next month. All expenses covered. Interested? I covered my mouth with one hand, letting out a shaky, breathless laugh.
Keynote speaker. Me.
The girl who sat alone in the back row while her family cheered for someone else. I typed one word.
Yes.
My pulse steadied. My heart slowed. The buzzing in my veins quieted into something calm and certain. This was just the beginning. And when my parents tried calling again, their names flashing across the dark screen, I didn't even reach for the phone. By the time I pulled into my tiny apartment's parking lot, the city was fully awake with my name. Every notification, every article, every congratulatory message felt like a spark lighting up a part of me I didn't know had gone dim. I carried myself up the stairs like someone who finally understood her worth. My parents, meanwhile, were blowing up my phone. Mom, Riley, sweetheart, can we talk? Dad, we're proud, confused, but proud. Please call us. Mom, your sister wants to speak with you. Megan, hey.
Wow. Congrats.
Call us? Suddenly, everyone wanted a piece. But tonight, no. Tonight was mine. I dropped my keys on the counter, set my laptop down, and opened every article one by one, letting the validation sink deep. Every headline painted me as the young founder who broke expectations, who built something from her living room and turned it into a multi-million-dollar reality. My heart hummed. This was the revenge I never had to orchestrate. Success did the talking. As I breathed in the quiet pride of the moment, a loud ding-dong jolted me. I froze. It was almost midnight. Nobody visited me, ever. I walked slowly toward the door and peeked through the peephole. My breath caught. My parents, both standing on my porch. Mom clutching her phone with white knuckles, Dad pacing, Megan hovering behind them with her arms folded. I didn't unlock the door. Not yet. Dad leaned toward the door. Riley, we know you're in there. We need to talk. Mom added, voice cracking. Why didn't you tell us you were doing such big things? We just want to understand. Understand? I remembered them walking right past me at graduation, their eyes only on Megan. I remembered them brushing off every time I said I was working on a project. I remember dinners where they talked about Megan's robotics trophies and never once asked about my own dreams. I unlocked the first bolt, loud enough for them to hear, soft enough to keep power in my silence. The door opened 3 inches. Their faces shifted, hope, worry, guilt. Riley, Mom whispered. We didn't know. We're proud of you. For the first time ever, I controlled the moment. I stepped out, head held high, not angry, not bitter, just finally standing in my truth. I tried to tell you, I said calmly. For years. You just weren't listening. Dad inhaled sharply. We want to fix this. We want to be part of this now. I met his gaze without flinching. I'm not doing any of this for revenge, I said. I'm doing it because I believed in myself when no one else did. And I'm finally happy on my own terms. Silence. Megan swallowed. Riley, I'm sorry. I gave her a small, polite nod. Not forgiveness, but acknowledgement. Good night, I said gently, stepping back inside. Their faces fell. Realization settling in. Not hatred. Not punishment. Just boundaries. I closed the door with a quiet click. My phone buzzed again. Kayla, my team, another news outlet requesting an interview. And for the first time in my life, I smiled without hesitation. Because my story didn't end with their approval. It ended with me winning anyway and starting something even bigger the next morning.